What's going on, everyone? This is Luke from South Beach Sports, and welcome to the first episode of the off-season trade target videos. Over the next few weeks, I'm going to discuss some potential trade targets the Heat could go out and get this upcoming offseason. So the first episode is going to be about Collin Sexton. Now, before today's video, I just want to remind you guys to go ahead and like and subscribe if you enjoy the video and if you enjoy content like this. We here at South Beach Sports have been working endlessly to producing good content for you guys. Also, our website is back up. Link will be in the description down below, so go check that out. So these Collin Sexton trade rumors were brought up around early May when it was reported that some Cavs veterans were unhappy with the way Sexton played. They thought he was a ball hog and that he did not pass the ball enough. It was reported by Terry Pluto in regards to potential Collin Sexton trade talks, and I quote, "An NBA executive suggested the Cavs could consider that because it's a salary cap crusher to pay Jarrett Allen and Collin Sexton both long-term contracts over $100 million. This guy likes Sexton as a player, but not on a maximum contract." There were then speculations in late May regarding the future of the Cavs backcourt and that a couple people in the NBA think the Cavs could move forward with a Darius Garland and Isaac Okoro backcourt. I have a couple more quotes here from Terry Pluto of Cleveland.com. The first of which says, "Two NBA people I respect suggest the Cavs trade Sexton. One likes him a lot. One is lukewarm, but their point is the team should only sign Jarrett Allen, who is a restricted free agent, to a $100 million deal. Because of the Kevin Love contract, the Cavs cannot pay Allen and Sexton tons of cash without crushing the salary cap." Before I get into the second quote by Terry Pluto, I just want to talk about the first quote, and it makes sense. The Cavs screwed up when they initially signed Kevin Love to that huge deal in response to LeBron leaving to the Lakers. And signing both Jarrett Allen and Collin Sexton to big long-term deals would crush the salary cap on a team that is in no position to win now. So the second quote by Terry Pluto is more in regards to the future of the Cavaliers backcourt, and it reads, "The two NBA people also like the idea of Garland and Okoro in the backcourt. Neither NBA person was a big Garland fan a year ago. They were impressed with the point guard's growth. These are questions Kobe Altman is the general manager of the Cavaliers, needs to consider in terms of players with respectable trade value. Altman has four in Sexton, Garland, Okoro, and Allen." So just to get into more detail about the Cavaliers' current cap situation, Kevin Love has $60 million left on his 2-year deal. Collin Sexton is eligible for a 5-year, $168 million max extension this summer, and Jarrett Allen is also a restricted free agent this summer who is expected to receive a $100 million plus deal. The Cavaliers also have to think about the future of their backcourt, with both Darius Garland and Collin Sexton being undersized guards. In today's NBA, which is starting to require so much more length from the guard position, having two guards who are 6'1" could be a major struggle in the future, especially on the defensive end. Isaac Okoro, the current starting small forward for the Cavaliers, is also only 6'5", which is a little undersized. What the Cavaliers could end up doing if they trade Sexton is moving Isaac Okoro to the 2-guard position and then drafting a potential small forward in this year's 2021 draft. Now, enough about what Collin Sexton's situation is in Cleveland right now. Let's talk about what he could bring to the Heat if he's traded there. First off, Sexton is a phenomenal shot creator. He's always been a phenomenal scorer from his high school days to his college days in Alabama, now as a pro. So last season, Sexton averaged 24.3 points a game on very efficient shooting clips, shooting 48% from the field, 37% from 3, and 82% from the free throw line. Now, discussing his skills, Sexton would bring a 3-level scoring threat to the Heat that they need so badly right now. The Heat really only have 2 3-level scorers, and that's Tyler Hero, who isn't that good of a driver and he's not consistent at all, and Goran Dragic, who is getting older and older. He can also, Sexton can also work off the pick and roll and get into his pull-up or drive to the basket. The Heat love using pick and rolls with Bam Adebayo, so that would be a very, very good combination with both Sexton and Bam. Sexton is also a pretty decent and efficient three-point shooter at this early stage of his career. What's usually the case with a lot of young guards who are good at driving to the basket is that they often struggle earlier in their careers from 3. That's not the case with Sexton, as he's already a pretty good three-point shooter. The one thing about Sexton is that he's not a very good playmaker. He only averaged 4.4 assists per game last year with the Cavs. What might end up happening is that Collin Sexton would come to the Heat as just mainly a scoring threat, and the Heat will develop him over time to become a better playmaker. One thing that really hasn't been talked about a lot when it comes to Collin Sexton and the Heat is that Collin Sexton would provide the Heat with multiple championship windows. The first of which is the Jimmy and Bam window, which Sexton would fill in nicely. He would be that main scoring threat to just really capitalize on what he'd have right now with Jimmy and through the growth of Bam. That's one window. The second window would be after Jimmy Butler's 4-year, $180 million max extension, which he's likely to sign this offseason. And this would be when Bam Adebayo was 28 and Collin Sexton is 27. I think it would be in the year 2025. The Heat would most likely have enough cap space to go out and sign another big name free agent. So that's another championship window the Heat could capitalize on with Collin Sexton. So lastly today, let's talk about what this potential Collin Sexton to the Miami Heat trade package could look like. One bad thing is that as far as draft capital wise, the Heat are very weak. Barry Jackson said in an article with the Miami Herald that no team in the NBA has less trade eligible draft inventory than the Heat in the coming years. The Heat currently have only one pick that's eligible to be traded in the next 7 drafts, and that's a very, very worthless 2024 second round pick. That's not going to matter much in a Collin Sexton trade. With that being said, there are ways that the Heat could obtain some first round picks. In, I believe, August 1st, the Heat would receive a first-round pick as it's the start of, the NBA year. Thus, the Heat would receive that that's 2026 first-round pick. Not really sure what the year would be, but it would be way in the future. That's one way the Heat could receive another first-round pick. Another way would be to obtain a first-round pick and a sign-and-trade for Kendrick Nunn or Duncan Robinson, who are both restricted free agents this offseason. So with that being said, I've constructed 2 trade packages the Heat could offer for Collin Sexton, one of which is more realistic than the other, and neither of these trade packages involve any draft picks. Let's get into the more unrealistic package first. So this package includes Collin Sexton to the Heat for Tyler Hero, Precious Achiuwa, and KZ Okpala. The reason why I'm saying this is probably the most unrealistic of the 2 options is because Tyler Hero's trade value is as low as it's ever been, considering he struggled in his sophomore season and had a rough playoff run with the Heat, and it's not looking good when it comes to his trade value. The Heat would also be offering Precious Achiuwa and KZ Okpala, who are both very young but very raw and inexperienced. This trade package I really don't think is enough, especially for someone like Collin Sexton, who had a very, very solid season last year. Like I said, he averaged 24 games, so that doesn't seem like enough. Now, the second trade does seem more realistic, but it does have a major downside. I'll get into that. The Heat would be offering Tyler Hero, Precious Achiuwa, KZ Okpala, Goran Dragic, and Andre Iguodala in return for Collin Sexton and Kevin Love, who I'm not that thrilled about, especially at this stage of Love's career. Why the Cavs would include Love in this deal is that they've been trying to get rid of his contract for multiple years now. It seemed like when Love initially signed that contract that it would come back to bite them in the ass, and it did. Love still has, like I said, $60 million left on his 2-year deal, and the Cavs could be looking to unload that. The Heat would be a good trade partner for that because they do have 2 possible expirings if they accept the team options of Goran Dragic and Andre Iguodala. So the Cavs would be receiving 2 expirings in return for that big old Love contract that they've been trying to unload for so long. One thing that I really don't like about Love and Sexton is that there was that report that there was some friction between Sexton and some of the Cavs veterans in the way that Sexton played. And considering that Love has had some outbursts in the past on the Cavs, it's not that crazy to think that Love was one of those veterans. So to wrap it up with some of my final thoughts on the potential of a Collin Sexton trade to the Heat, I would love this deal so much because it's not often that a young and promising player like Sexton is out in the trade market. Sexton would again bring that 3-level scoring that the Heat need so badly. It's probably their biggest offseason need. With that being said, if you haven't already, go ahead and like and subscribe. Also go comment down below your thoughts on the potential of a Collin Sexton to Miami deal. I'll catch you later. Peace.